Hello, Tom Hegna here with my 2015 economic commentary. And if you remember from previous years, I said that interest rates would remain low. And that was pretty controversial because everybody thought interest rates were headed higher. Well, now everybody thinks interest rates are going to head higher this next year. And I'm saying interest rates are going to remain low as far as my eyeballs can see. We're not in a low interest rate environment. This is the new interest rate environment. So I'd say get used to it. We may have these interest rates around for even up to a couple decades, all right? Now that may sound controversial, but I get the other side. You know, we printed a lot of money, and normally when you print money, it causes inflation. But you know, for inflation to take hold, there needs to be a second component, and that's called the velocity of money. You could print $4 trillion tomorrow, and if you dug a big hole and buried it, there'd be no inflation. And if you think about it, our central bank has printed trillions of dollars, but this money is sitting on bank balance sheets. It's just like we dug a big hole and buried it. It is not working its way through the economy. So you're not going to see any inflation until you see money velocity. Besides that, there continue to be three big deflationary trends. The first one is debt. We have record global government debt. We are now in a world with over $52 trillion of government debt. We're living in a country with over $18 trillion of debt, climbing at about 2 to 3 billion every single day. You know, what is debt? All debt is taking from the future and spending it today. So by definition, what have governments around the world done? They've taken $52 trillion of our future and it's gone. So by definition, that means our future is going to be $52 trillion plus interest less than what it otherwise could or should be. And so that much debt is going to reduce growth in the future. Now, when you're in debt, eventually you got to get out of debt. That's called deleveraging, and governments have not deleveraged yet. And so there's going to have to be massive government deleveraging. How do governments get out of debt? Well, there are three ways. We only ever hear about two: raise taxes, cut spending. What happens when a government raises taxes and cuts spending? It hurts growth. It strangles the economy. The third way to get out of debt, by the way, is growth, but we never hear about that. We hear about raise taxes, cut spending. It strangles that economy, literally. The third big D is demographics. We're getting old. Europe is old. Japan is very, very old. China will get old before they get rich. What happens economically when you get old? Your spending goes off a cliff, and we're going to be spending less and less. The baby boomers are going to be spending less and less every year. Europe's going to be spending less and less. Japan's going to be spending less and less. This debt, deleveraging, and demographics is going to cause deflationary, not inflationary, deflationary pressures for decades. Look, I can't predict the future better than anybody else, but my best advice, watch the bond market. The bond market predicts the future every single day. Okay, what is the 30-year U.S. government bond paying right now? It's paying a little over 3%. A few weeks ago it was a little under 3%. Now it's a little over 3%. What is the 30-year U.S. government bond predicting? The odds of any inflation or hyperinflation in this country in the next 30 years is? You would not lock up your money for 30 years at 3% interest if you thought there was going to be any inflation or hyperinflation. Look, I think the big debate right now in our country is between Jim Rickards and Harry Dent. Now let me explain these two guys. So Jim Rickards is in the Porter Stansberry camp, and for those of you who don't know, if you remember a couple years ago, there was all those End of America commercials that, oh, there's a big thing going to happen, End of America. And then it was critical warning number 6. Now you see CIA insider wants you to know this information, imminent collapse of the market. Well, what their side is saying is that the U.S. dollar is going to lose its reserve currency status. And if the dollar loses its reserve currency status, our standard of living will fall by 25 to 50% almost overnight. And we're going to see hyperinflation. And they're saying buy gold and buy real estate, things that go up in times of inflation. Harry Dent says that it's demographics. We're getting old, Europe's getting old, Japan's getting old, and that we are going to see deflation as far as our eyeballs can see, not inflation. So Rickards and Stanberry say inflation, Dent says deflation. Where do I come down? Right now I come down solidly on the side of Harry Dent. I think we're seeing deflationary pressures probably for decades. We're going to have low interest rates for a very, very, very long time. Now, could the dollar lose its reserve currency status? I guess it could at some point, but it's certainly not imminent. I don't see that people are going to start using Chinese currency or Russian rubles or the euro instead of the dollar. That's not going to happen. In fact, when bad things happen, what happens? The dollar goes up, U.S. government bonds go up because we're still the cleanest shirt in the dirty laundry. Now, I do think at some point you're going to see a market correction, maybe even a crash, maybe even as bad as 2008, 2009. But I think what's going to trigger it is not something in the United States. Right now, the United States looks pretty good. It might be something in Japan, it might be something in Europe, it might be something in China, it might be something in the Middle East, but I think an external factor is going to cause a global panic at some time, and we will see the market correct significantly. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen in 2015 or 2016, but my prediction is the next big downturn will be caused by an external event, not a U.S. event. Anyway, look, I hope you have a great 2015. As far as I can see, interest rates are going to stay low as far as my eyeballs can see. And until we have that external event, I think things are looking a little better in the United States. We are the cleanest shirt in the dirty laundry. So have a great 2015.